I know a lot of people who are struggling too, working in big Korean companies, other friends, like Korean friends, or like, my friends' spouses who are like Korean, they're working in, for example, like one case I heard like 14-hour days.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Korea Unfiltered. As I always say, today is another exciting episode. I feel like today we're going to get to hear a little bit about Korean company life, like working in a Korean company. I know a lot of you guys are interested in other work except entertainment. A lot of my guests do work in the entertainment industry, but today's guest does not. So I'm really excited to hear her story about her working in this company. So introducing today's guest, Lauren!
Hi.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Lauren Guardia, and I work it's actually one of the biggest video game companies in the world, not just in Korea. It's called NCSoft.
Oh, wow,
I'm working there, and so it's in tech. It's like a tech job. And I've been in Korea for 6 years now.
Me too.
Oh,
well, I'm going
nice.
on to my 7th now.
Okay.
Are you going on to your 6th or your 7th?
I just went into the 6th year. So,
okay, so
yeah.
1 year earlier for me.
Yeah, I mean, that's permanently living in Korea. Like a lot of people, I kind of came and went. At first, I kind of like was testing the waters. If
Yeah,
you could
as you should,
put
to
it
be
that way. Yeah,
honest.
like
Yeah.
learning Korean.
Yeah.
And anyway, and then so I've been permanently here for 6 years. And what else?
Where are you from?
So I was born in Canada, but I grew up in Canada, the U.S., and Switzerland. So 3 different countries. So it's kind of complicated.
wow.
I left Canada when I was 10.
Uh-huh.
And then because of my dad's job, we moved to the U.S.
Uh-huh.
I lived in Minnesota for like 7 years, I think, ish. 7,
Okay.
yeah. And then after that, I ended up in Switzerland, like right after high school, went straight to Switzerland and lived there for 12 years. And
Okay.
so, yeah, I did most of my, I guess, adult life in Switzerland, life
Switzerland.
experiences,
Yeah.
like all that stuff. I can speak German. I was working for Apple in Switzerland, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At first, and then after I realized that was like I like working corporate jobs, but that was not really a great fit for
Not
me.
your favorite.
Yeah, so I ended up leaving Apple, and then I worked for a family business in Switzerland for about 6 years, and then after that I got laid off, and that's part of the reason why I decided to come to Korea, because while I was laid off, I was unemployed for 6 months in Switzerland. I had nothing to do, so I decided to travel, and
Yeah.
I traveled, and I like Korea the most, so that's why I'm here.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a hot take, but between those 3 countries, what was your favorite country?
It's hard to say because, like, every country has its ups and downs, pluses and minuses. I guess I'd say, like, if you're young and have a lot of energy, Korea, like, I definitely liked Korea more when I was younger living here, like when I first got here, because I had more energy to enjoy like the nightlife and everything's like open 24/7. But
Fact. That part about the energy, oh my God.
yeah,
Yes.
like as you get older, you feel it, right? Like it's like,
Yes.
okay, all the reasons why Korea was like this, like really attractive, like, fast paced country that you wanted to live in kind of gets less attractive as you get
Yeah.
older, because you have less energy, you have less time to invest in those kind of things. But for the most part, yeah, I think Switzerland is definitely, I mean, I guess Switzerland would be the answer, because it's like, it feels like my home. It's like closest to my heart. Like I did so much. I lived there for so long. I did so many things there.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, if I go to Switzerland and I walk the streets, like everybody just thinks I'm Swiss. Like,
Okay.
and I can speak Swiss German, like
Yeah.
their native dialect as well. So
Yeah.
they really treat me like a local. Whereas obviously in Korea, it's like even if you're
not-
perfect
yeah.
at Korean, you're never gonna get to that level.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You're definitely not. And you were talking about when you were younger, when you first came to Korea. When was the first time you came to Korea, and why did you come the first time?
The first time, as I mentioned, I got laid off from my job in Switzerland, and I was on a job hunt for 6 months. Back then, the job market was a little bit tough. In
6 months is
Switzerland.
a lot, yeah.
Yeah, it was a pretty long time to be unemployed. So somewhere towards the end of that period of time, I was on unemployment, so I had to ask my caseworker, actually, can I have permission to take 2 weeks off from applying, and I want to travel. And he said, yeah, okay, I'll turn a blind eye, like I won't say anything. So I initially wanted to go to China, because I've been to Japan already, and I wanted to go to East Asia again. I said, okay, China is a little bit, the schedule might not really work for me, because I have to get a visa, and it was expensive and stuff like that. So I decided, okay, what's another country in East Asia where I don't need a visa? that would be Korea. So I was like, oh, let me give it a try. Like K-pop and K-dramas were kind of on my radar a little bit, but I wouldn't have called myself a fan. I was just like generally interested in Korea.
Casually watching. Okay.
Yeah. And then, so the first time I came, I was here for 11 days.
Oh,
And I loved it. I had a great time.
Yeah.
And I really pushed myself to kind of like meet locals during that time too. Like I went on like online and tried to find like meetups where like foreigners and Koreans can meet. I think a lot of people have had a similar experience. And I had such a good time, and I really loved the country so much. I was like, okay, I'm gonna come back. So I came back a few months later, and I stayed for a month and a half.
That's a lot longer.
Yeah, I did a homestay actually with a Korean family.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the best. Like it was such a good experience.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that, like, whole experience and how good they were to me. They treated me like a member of the family. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And that was when I was really like, okay, now I've kind of dipped my toe in the water to see what it's like to live in Korea, like actually be a resident, like, you know. So I was like, I wonder if I could maybe someday get a job in Korea. And that's kind of when the process started, where, okay, obviously, because I've moved to Switzerland when I was 19. The first thing I had to do before I could do anything was learn German. Because without, I mean, you can get by without, you know, knowing the native language in Switzerland, just like you can here. But obviously it's a huge advantage if you can speak the language. So
Yeah.
I knew the first thing I was going to have to do is focus on learning Korean. So that's why I went to Sogang's language school and studied there pretty intensively. I was there, I think, for a total of 9 months. I did 3 semesters. But I started from zero. I started from scratch.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know the alphabet, nothing. I couldn't
Yeah.
spell my name. And then I kind of started to run out of money, and I was like, okay, well, now it's now or never. I either get a job in Korea or I
You
have to go
leave.
back to
Yeah.
Switzerland. And the prospect of going back to Switzerland was not very appealing for me, because I had been working for a game company in Switzerland. Well, actually, so I work at a video game company now in Korea, and most of my experience was in a video game company that my friend actually runs. And it's actually a video game music label, so like they do like
Interesting. Like music in video games.
yeah, so like composers from, you know, famous video games
Yeah.
are on the music label, and then we'll release like well, I'm not a part of the company anymore, but when I was
We
there,
used to.
I would help them. We would collaborate. We would release like physical copies, like, for example, collector's editions of, you know, classic soundtracks, vinyl, for example, like packages with like you know, signed cards from the, you know, game developers or
Ooh.
from the composers. So that was a really cool job. But then eventually they scaled down, so that's why I wasn't working there anymore. And I knew that I wanted to still do stuff with games, because I love video games and I always have. So after I came here, learned Korean, ran out of money, thanks to a close Korean friend of mine who was working in a really small game company here. He kind of got me into the company.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I got my foot into the game industry in Korea. Yeah, so that's
how your story started.
how my story started. I feel like I just talked a lot.
No, it's okay. I don't like when I'm talking, because I'm like, it's not about me. So I like when the guests talk.
I suppose that makes sense.
Yes. So you should be talking. Don't feel like you have to be like, all right. Don't even think about it. Just keep
Okay.
talking.
Got it.
Let's go back a little bit to the first time you came to Korea, right?
Right.
I'm guessing your parents were not really like against you leaving Switzerland to come to Korea.
No, I mean, by that time, how old was I? I was like 29. So
Oh!
yeah, I'm 37 for the record. So I'm
okay, girl. They were probably like,
yeah, my parents. It'd be funny if they try to tell me what to do
As
at
a
this point.
29-year-old, it's
I,
like-
I love them. I respect their opinion,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
nah.
Oh, okay, as a
Yeah.
20, that's so it's very
Yeah.
different then, because I thought you would be
Yeah.
like 21 or something.
And actually, like, I've been living separate from my parents for a long time. Well, my parents, because when we moved down to the U.S., it was because my dad got a job doing flood relief. Actually, a lot of people are
that's
probably not
different.
going to remember this, but there was a huge flood in the Midwest, specifically Minnesota and North Dakota, in 1999,
Yeah.
and it decimated like about 3 cities, and they didn't have enough workers to basically rebuild, so they were asking Canadians to
go
come
help.
down, and they said, we'll give you a green card. And my dad was like, well, this seems like a pretty good opportunity.
Yeah.
Because in Canada, the job market was not great at the time for my dad. My dad is a sheet metal worker, so blue collar. He had been laid off multiple times. We were struggling. So that's how we ended up in the U.S. And after I moved to Switzerland after high school, I haven't lived with my parents since that time. So that since I was 19, I haven't lived with them. So
Wait, so you moved to Switzerland without your parents?
yeah, I moved to Switzerland without my parents. Yeah.
So was it for school that you
So
moved?
initially I went there just for vacation because like I had saved up a lot of money working part-time throughout high school. I'd worked at one point I was working 3 jobs in high school. So you can imagine that my grades were pretty terrible.
Wow.
I had a fat bank account, but no.
Yeah, but your grades are not going to be
terrible
doing
grades.
well.
Yeah. So I sacrificed my studies to get the bag. But
Sometimes you just have to chase the bag.
I don't know why I was like that, but I
Yeah.
was just kind of obsessed with money. I mean, maybe I still am a little bit, but
Maybe I still
because I
am.
love my corporate job, I love the grind, I love the
Yeah.
hustle. But anyway, long story short, I ended up in Switzerland. I was going there initially just to travel and see the place because I had a friend who was over there.
Yeah.
And anyways, long story short, while I was there for 3 months, which was the max amount of time I could stay without a visa, I met someone, and then I was like, well, okay,
Like a someone.
like my ex who I was together with for 11 years. Yeah.
Damn.
So that's why I lived in Switzerland for 12 years. So I was like, okay, am I really gonna move here for a man? And I went back and I thought about it and I thought about it and I was like, I think I want to go back like permanently. So yeah, and then it was great though because like we had a great relationship. Like for those 10 years, we were both like, I mean, it was all good, very happy. I have absolutely nothing bad to say about him. I love his family. We still keep in touch. So it was all good. And it was great because I got to live in a new country, learn a new language. I had that amazing opportunity to work for Apple. Basically they wanted a translator, to be honest, like because their head office was in Ireland and I could speak English obviously fluently, and they were having trouble communicating with the head office, like I guess as a team. Like there were people on the Apple Switzerland team or managers, I guess, who could speak English, but they were not great at it. So
And you were a native speaker.
yeah, so I don't even remember how I found that job. I found it online. And anyways, I applied and they were like, welcome. And I never went to university.
And you still got that
And I
job.
still got that job. So I was pretty shocked at the time. I was like, I can do this. And then, because my plan had actually been to study in Switzerland. I'd planned to do an apprenticeship.
Yeah, yeah.
But that ended up not panning out because I couldn't work and do an apprenticeship at the same time. And I had this job at Apple. And yeah, so I kind of, that's how I kind of started working like full time. It just kind of happened. And I've
you're
been
here
working
now.
ever since, basically. Yeah.
And you still, even to this point, you don't have a college degree.
No.
And you're working at this job.
Yeah, which
Oh, I can't wait to hear about this then.
yeah, because a lot of people ask me about that. Like
Yeah.
I get a lot of people, even they'll stumble across my Instagram or something and they'll see that I'm working a corporate job in Korea and they'll be like, how did you do this? What degree do you have? And
It's
how
always the
did you
degree.
get the visa? And because, for the E7, for the working visa, which is the visa that I have, a lot of people say you need to have a degree. You must have a degree. But the thing is, it's kind of a case by case thing. And it's hard for me to give advice related to that. Like if people ask me like, well, I don't have a degree and I also want to work in a corporate job. What do I need to do? Well, first off, I came into the country with I had about 7 years of experience in the gaming company. So
That's a lot.
yeah, plus I'd worked at Apple, which, if you know Koreans, any big company you've worked at, any international tech company, they'll be like, wow, you're smart, even though I didn't have a degree. And so the specific E7 job code that I'm on does not require a degree. So there's like, a lot of people don't know, there's like different job codes under the E7. So there's like, I don't know. There's literally everything. There's something like 80 or 85 different codes. Everything from like chef to like certain like engineers, and there's different requirements for Korean level for amount of experience at a previous job or what kind of degree you're required to have. So mine doesn't require that. And but what it does require is at least 5 years of working experience that you can prove. So I had to actually, when I got hired by that small game company, the first one that sponsored my visa, I had to actually go to immigration and I had like a portfolio laid out. And I had like letters of like proof of employment from my previous employer. And it had to be like, how do you say apostille? Yeah, sorry. I don't know English apparently.
It's okay.
But anyway, I had to get them stamped, everything verified. And I had to show my resume, and even then they were really scrutinizing me. I think I got kind of lucky with the caseworker too, because he took a look at my resume and he was a younger guy who obviously was a gamer. I could tell because when he looked at my resume, he was like, you worked with Capcom, Koei Tecmo, wow, like that's impressive. And I had like my whole portfolio printed out, and it's like, so he kind of right off the bat was like, okay, this is legit, you know. So it's somebody who has enough experience and is qualified for this job. So I ended up getting the visa that way. But if you're coming here without any work experience and no degree, it's not going to work.
It's going to be a lot harder.
I mean, I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's not the company that you have to convince. It's immigration.
It's the government, yeah.
Immigration is they're going to be the ones sitting there looking at your application and being like, a Korean could do your job, or like there's going to be someone more qualified who has a degree who could do this job. So why should we give you this visa, even if your company really, really wants you? And I mean, I went there with my boss, and she was like, we need this girl, you know, she has the expertise, you know, she's done X, Y, Z. We want her. They don't care. Trust me. Like, even if the CEO shows up and he's like, I want this person, then they'll be like, I mean, because their job is, and I mean, a lot of people get frustrated with immigration. I've had, you know, my situation where they're rude, or they're kind of they don't know their own rules, and you get frustrated. But their job is to kind of like, at least when it comes to the work visas, they're trying to protect jobs for Koreans. There's a lot of unemployed Koreans too, so anyone who thinks they can just walk into this country and just get a job, it's just not that simple, because they, you know, like I said, there's a lot of Koreans sitting around jobless, and and they need a job like very badly. So
so they have to like vet you a lot harder, obviously.
They do, and they really scrutinize. And I don't remember exactly anymore what it was, but they requested follow-up documents from me too, which I had to like have sent over from Switzerland. And but I don't remember what document it was. But anyways, I remember like scrambling to get this done, because he gave me a month. So I had to like FedEx it over, like overnight it or something like that, to make sure it was really going to get here on time. But in the end, it worked out. And I will say one thing about the E7 visa is that once you have it, it's pretty easy to maintain it, as long as you are like employed, you know, and you like, even if you change your job, if you stay in the same job code, the same sector, you keep that visa. Because I did change my workplace. I went from the smaller game company to the NCSoft. And I didn't really have to do anything. I just had to go to immigration and say, I'm going to be doing the same job at a bigger company. Here's their address. And that was it. They just changed it.
They were like, okay, fine. So as long as you're also filing your taxes, they can tell you're working there. Exactly.
And then if you get an E7 visa too, like, they don't just look at you, but they also scrutinize the company. So the company has to be willing to basically open their books. Like, they'll request, depending on the company size, different things. Like, for example, I mean, my company is really big, so they're not worried about, there's like a quota of like foreigners to Koreans that is required. I think it's like 7 Koreans or 5 Koreans to one foreigner at least. So like for startups, that can be hard. They can't sponsor foreigners sometimes for visas, because they don't have enough Koreans working there in the first place. If they only have like 4 employees, they can't.
Then it's impossible.
But with my company, that wasn't a problem. But they wanted to see like insurance. They wanted to see if they paid their taxes. They wanted to see what was on the books. Like, is it a legit company? Which is shocking when you're talking about such a huge company, and you would assume they're not doing anything fishy. But I guess they have to check. I don't know.
You have to make sure. Because of this one foreigner, we have to check everything.
Because of this one foreigner. And it really was just me, because at least in NCSoft's case, I was the only person ever, until one other person joined a few years later, that ever worked there on an E7. It was the first time they had ever dealt with that.
That's interesting.
And I was on the phone with HR when they wanted to hire me, and they were like, is it going to be okay with your visa? And I was like, I'll handle it. I know better than you do. And I did. Of course, I went there by myself. Like, they didn't even send anyone with me. I just handled it myself.
They're like, we don't even know what we're doing.
They had no clue what was going on. I had to explain everything to them. Which was crazy. So
let's talk about now you getting this job with NCSoft. How was your experience getting hired by a huge gaming company in Korea?
So it was extremely stressful. So I've been there for 5 years. At this point, I just passed the 5-year mark.
A long time.
It was September 2nd. So little over 5 years.
Okay.
It is a long time. Especially in a Korean company. A lot of people who come to Korea and work in a Korean company, they burn out faster than that. I've noticed. But anyway, I was working at the smaller game company, and then I was like, you know, this is good, but I can do better. I'm a very ambitious person. Like, by nature, I always want to upgrade when I can. And I thought to myself, like, if I'm doing this job at a small company, I think I could be doing it at a bigger game company and get paid more. And it will also be more challenging, because it would be fun to work at it like an actual developer, that, you know, company that actually develops the games, doesn't just, you know, offer, like, because I was working basically at an outsourcing company before that. So they were outsourcing like localization, QA, CS, customer service,
I don't know
those
what
kind
that
of
means,
things.
girl. Oh, customer service.
Customer
You were
service,
saying stuff, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking
I realize
about.
that maybe not everyone
Yeah,
knows what
like-
CS is. So
Yeah.
if I use any jargon you don't understand,
like,
feel
what does
free to
that mean?
ask me, because it'll probably
Yeah.
come up again. But anyway, so I was like, yeah, I want to see if, you know, the big game companies need anyone like me. And so I actually went onto all the individual job websites of the top game companies in Korea, which, you know, I mean, I could name them, but there's 3 that are really known as the biggest. They're called 3N. So there's Nexon, Netmarble, NCSoft. So that's 3N. So of course, those were the first ones that I looked at.
Yeah.
I also applied at WebZen, Smilegate, and NeoWiz. And so I was really trying hard to find a job. And to my surprise, when I went to the NCSoft website, they had a position that I was qualified for. And I was like, wow, okay. It was like exactly perfect for me. So I was like, I better apply for this. So I applied, not expecting much. And to my surprise, I got a call. And they were like, when can you come in for a test? So I had to take a test because the job actually was for game localization, which I think a lot of foreigners who work in game companies in Korea are working in localization.
Yeah.
They wanted to test my English ability basically, which I was like, okay, I mean, that's not going to be a problem for me.
course, yeah.
I'm pretty
As
sure
a
I'll
native
pass.
speaker.
Yeah. As a native speaker, I should be able to pass. So I went and I took the test, and it was so intimidating because I don't know if anyone watching will know where the NCSoft building is or what it looks like, but it's in a part of, it's just south of Seoul in a part of Korea called Bundang. Like,
The Bundang area.
you've probably heard of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Silicon Valley of Korea. They actually call it Pangyo Techno Valley.
Oh yeah, that is like the Silicon Valley.
Yeah, it's where all the game companies are, and a lot of other tech companies are also down there. So I roll up, not like I didn't know what to expect, and then I see the NCSoft building is like huge. It's like
I'll
one of
insert
the
a picture.
Yeah, I can send you pictures. I got pictures for days of the building because every time I leave work, I'm like, it's so pretty, and I take a photo, like sunset in the background, but it's like it's kind of an iconic building in the Pangyo area, the way it's shaped and everything. So I was like, I gotta go in there and take a test, like, and then if I pass the test, I gotta do an interview and then another interview. Like,
God.
this is very intimidating.
Sounds intimidating.
So, anyways, I roll up. I took the test, and I had a short interview before and took the test. I met the whole localization team. They were very, very nice. Like this is one of the memories I'll never forget. And it just makes me happy just even to think about this. So I finished that test. They gave me an hour time limit, and I finished it. And I checked it a couple times, went over it, and then I was sitting and waiting for someone to come and collect the test. And then at that time the 실장, I guess. The manager, department manager in English. Yeah. He came in. He had interviewed me beforehand. He came in with a bag, and it had, because I had taken this interview after my other job. Right, it was like 7 p.m. And he came in with a bag of snacks, like a sandwich, a bottle of milk.
Wow.
And he was like, "You must be hungry because you haven't had dinner, so I bought this for you." And I was like,
that's so sweet.
okay, like at a job interview,
and you're not even hired yet.
Yeah, and I was like, that's probably a good sign. I was like really touched. I was really
that's
like,
very
I was like,
sweet. Yeah,
what a nice man. Like, and I was like, I hope I get to work with him.
Yeah.
And anyway, so long story short, so the way it worked at NCSoft was there were 3 rounds of interviews.
Oh.
That's pretty common actually in game companies, or I think in a lot of Korean companies, but tech companies, game companies, it's pretty standard that there's at least 2 rounds, if not 3. And sometimes, like, depending on if you are specialized in something, like if you're gonna be like a developer, they'll have you do a coding test. And if you're gonna be a language specialist, you'll do a language test or whatever. Or sometimes they'll even make you prepare like a PowerPoint. Like if you're gonna do like marketing or something like that, they might be like, contact you in advance and be like, okay, so make a PowerPoint, tell us how you would market X game, and then you have to present it to them.
Oh wow, okay.
So anyway, in my case, I got to the final round of interview, it was very stressful. And every time before each interview, I was preparing really, like, I was on YouTube watching videos like how to do interviews like in Korea, how to pass, like tips for your like self-introduction, jakisoge, how to write it, how to deliver it. I was cramming like I'd never crammed before.
You
for
went to
these
college
interviews.
without going to college.
I went to interview college, the interview cram school. I would
You
call
went
it
to
more
YouTube
like.
University.
Yeah, YouTube University to get a job, basically.
Yeah.
But it worked, and I remember too. That was another fun memory from the interview process. Is so in the last final interview was with the oh no, wait, sorry, I said wrong before. So the Shijang I mentioned before was the teamjang at that time. But
Oh,
he
the team
eventually got a
director?
promotion.
Oh.
So the Shijang at that time, who also got a promotion later, she was my final interview, and then it was just one-on-one with her. That was a bit scary. And then anyways, she asked me a bunch of questions about games. She's like, what's your favorite game? Why do you like games? Why do you think you want to work here? And like all these difficult questions basically. And I don't know, I was like very nervous. I didn't feel like I did well. And then she asked me at the end of the interview, she was like, well, do you have any other questions for me? And I couldn't think of anything to say. So I looked at her and I said, when can I start? And she was like, she looked at me like, how about next week? And I was like,
She was probably like, I love the guts.
yeah, she really like, and I mean, I didn't, that wasn't what I was expecting. I was
Oh
like really
my
flabbergasted.
goodness, yeah.
But then I walked out of that building like I had won the lottery. I was like, yes, I got it. I got a job like at one of the
yeah.
biggest game companies. Like
Yeah.
I was really, really excited to be working at a like actual developer, you know, that makes games. And yeah, that's how it all started. And
Girl.
it really worked out well too, because I had been interviewing at all those other game companies, as I mentioned. I'd gotten to the final round at several other game companies as well. Then like one of them said I was overqualified.
Yeah.
Basically, they didn't want to pay me when I was asking.
Yeah, they're like, we don't got that money.
Yeah, they're like, no, we can hire someone else for cheaper, I guess. And then actually, I ended up in the situation. So when the NCSoft HR actually called me to offer me the job, I had been offered a job at another company as well, simultaneously,
Okay.
that I had interviewed at. So I got them to fight for each other.
They were like, who's gonna give me the best opportunity here?
And that was actually, looking back, that was risky. I don't think I would attempt that again. But I guess at the time I was
Worked
just
for
like,
you,
might
though.
as well try it. I don't have
yeah.
anything to lose, I suppose, except I have to go back to Switzerland.
True.
If I don't find a job,
yeah.
But
Yeah.
but it worked out, and I ended up getting a very fair salary, and I was very, very happy. Got to start very quickly, and yeah, 5 years. It's already been 5 years.
That means there's a reason why you're still in this company.
There is, yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about because when you had written your form, you had said your interview was in Korean.
Yeah.
So in those 9 months, did you what level of Korean do you think you got to?
So basically, and people always hate it when I say this, but like, because I never was a fan of school, as I said, in high school I was just making money, and then I never went to college. I'm not the best student.
Yeah.
I'm not the best student, but I think I'm okay at languages. Like I have
Yeah.
a slight aptitude for learning languages. So I kind of slacked off when I was at Sogang, to be honest. Like I still learned a lot. I had one teacher who was really good, and he really helped me get ahead. But I don't know why. Like a lot of people say the opposite. At Sogang, your speaking gets really good.
Yeah.
But I was the opposite. My writing was amazing, but my speaking was not the best. And
Oh.
I guess I don't know. I just struggle with it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's still by far my weakest skill in Korean.
Yeah.
Like I would rather write a page in Korean than have to like talk for
speak
2
it,
minutes
yeah.
in front of a bunch of people. So
okay.
yeah, but yeah. So I got up to level 3, and I finished it, and that's when I ran out of money. And then so when I was like, okay, I gotta find a job. So when I actually first got into the first company, my Korean was like pretty shaky. Like it was really basic to the point where I could kind of communicate, because I was working in a part with a bunch of English speakers, and there was one person who was a Kyopo, like from America.
Yeah.
So that was okay. I got by, but I noticed very quickly that it bothers me if I feel like I'm an inconvenience to other people. So that's when I started to try to push myself to learn Korean a lot faster.
Yeah.
And I realized very quickly that the best way for me to do that is to just drink with Koreans. That sounds weird, but that's what worked for me.
Is it?
Yeah.
In what way? What do you mean by the best way for you to learn was?
Because I would just I would try to get myself into situations, and I still do this today, where I know that there's no one who can speak English, and I can't really fall back on English. And because I noticed that, like, living in Switzerland and living in Korea, if you make a friend and you start off right off the bat with English with them, you're always going to use English with that
Always,
person. It's not, you're never going to use their language, right? Because you're just going to set that standard. And I mean, it's the same thing with like romantic partners, I find. Like
That's true.
Me and my boyfriends, we talk in English because that's what we started. If we talk in Korean now, it's super weird. We could do it, but we just
It
don't.
just feels awkward.
Yeah,
You're just
it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I forced myself to be in situations where I was like, okay, I'm going to be with a bunch of Koreans. And nobody's going to be using English, and I am forced to use Korean. And if there's alcohol, I won't be thinking before I talk, so I'll just talk naturally.
gonna be comfortable, yeah.
And that helped me. It was like an icebreaker. Like, I'm not talking to the point where I would get like completely wasted, but like, you know, just a lot of people know that feeling. You feel more relaxed, and you feel more like, okay, whatever, I'm just gonna talk. And another thing I will say is that through my company, my current company especially, I met so many amazing Korean friends who are like who were so patient with me, and like some of them have been my friends for the full 5 years. And so of course back then my Korean of course was not as good as now, so but they were still really patient. Like I remember one time I went to sort of like a gathering of like people from different departments. This is a big company, and I just wanted to meet new people, and we were at an izakaya, and there were I think 12 or 13 people there. So it was quite intimidating for me. I was like, oh my gosh, like there's just a lot of people, and they're talking very fast in Korean.
Yeah.
But one of my friends, he's still a close friend today, he really took the time to make sure I was included in the conversation. So like he'd be like, they'd be talking really fast, and then he kind of like, oh, hey guys, let's ask Lauren what she thinks about this. Or, oh, I think Lauren's probably been to Germany, you know? And then like, oh, do you like, what can you contribute to the conversation?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, what a great guy, honestly, like still.
That's very sweet to want to include you.
Finding those kind of friends is like that really helped for me learning the language really quickly, because then I never felt like awkward or like I was and then like if I did say something stupid, they just laugh it off and be like, oh, that was cute, you know,
They don't judge you for it.
So like really amazing. And that's when I really like made fast progress with Korean. I found like I guess I'm just not the type of person who likes to study.
Girl, you're not I'm also not my Korean was learning from a book for me didn't work. For me it was dramas that helped.
Oh, dramas,
Korean
okay. Dramas, yeah.
And also I started living in Korea, so I had to speak to Koreans. That helped a lot too.
Yeah, that'll help. Yeah, definitely. I mean, just interacting with the locals, I think is key 90% of the time. Even if you're a fan of K-pop or dramas, like you can learn from those, but I think at some point you'll probably plateau a little bit. Because you gotta put yourself
talk back to K-pop or K-drama.
Yeah, you gotta put yourself in real life situations and then figure out like how do I navigate this. And even if you don't know a certain word, you find ways to kind of explain what you're trying to say. So that. I mean, that's what worked best for me. Other people they learn really well from just books memorization or whatever. But I can't do that. My roommate when I was going to Sogang, he was Chinese.
Yeah.
This man was just like, he'd pick up a book, read it. Okay, I know everything. And then he would just pass the test and I'd be like, excuse me, what?
And you're there struggling like, what? Yeah.
He was incredible. Like,
he's probably like a language sponge.
He's just a smart guy too. And he already could speak English and stuff. So he was like, he had that benefit. But yeah, some people are incredible with their aptitude to learn languages. Like I don't think I'm bad, but I don't think I know some people who are like native in Korean, and I'm just like, how did you even get there?
Dang. And they're not Korean, right?
Yeah, but to be fair, I think it also depends what age you come here.
Oh, true. Because, if you're younger, you're more adept to like. That's correct English, right? I think that's correct.
I think so. I think like we've lived here too long, we're forgetting English. That's the problem.
And I also know 4 languages, so it's just a lot of mixes going on. But you're just a sponge when you're younger. You're just taking everything in. But the older you get, the harder it gets, y'all.
Yeah, they say something like your neural pathways are already set by like age, I don't know, 20 or something. So it's like if you try it after that, you're gonna be struggling.
You're gonna struggle. Yeah, I see like little kids like speaking like 4 languages, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense because you're a child and you can pick everything up.
Yeah, and they don't have an accent too, and all that stuff. Like that's kind of crazy. Yeah. And for me, like I started learning Korean when I was like 30. Like I started from 0, and then I had always like thought, because I learned German quite easily. Like I got fluent pretty quick, and I was just like, whatever, it's not that hard. And then when I started to learn Korean at age 30, I was like, okay, this might be more of an undertaking than I thought. So,
and it's such a different language. The writing is different.
The
grammar is different. And they speak back to front, like it's just like crazy.
Right, yeah, everything's different, and also like the culture, and it's such a high context language that like it can be hard. That's why I say like putting yourself in real life situations is important, because like those high context cues, you can kind of get them from watching dramas, but you're not there. you know.
That's-
And the Koreans have that word nunchi, like
Yeah.
reading the social situation, reading the room kind
Yeah.
of. You can't do that unless you're actually in the room. So that's something that I get a lot of compliments from my Korean coworkers, so they're like, "Oh Lord, you have so much nunchi," and I'm just like,
I learned.
"Thanks, I'm just copying you guys. I just do what you do." That's
I see you guys doing it, so I'm doing it too. Yeah.
I think but I think that helps. I mean, I'm not trying to make it sound frivolous either. Like just say, okay, just copy what other people do. Like obviously still be yourself, and you know, but you still have to kind of emulate, you know, the locals wherever you are if you want to get an understanding of how they live, I think. Yeah, and that doesn't have anything to do with appropriation, or it's not trivializing, you know, anyone's culture. It's
Yeah.
just you have to get into it to understand it, I think. So
That's
yeah.
true. I believe the same thing. Let's go into you now working in this company, right? How was it working for the gaming company?
So I can say, I mean, I think I've been incredibly blessed and lucky. That's part of the reason why I have stayed for 5 years at NC, is because I've had nothing but a great experience. Like I'm one of those people. I will wake up in the morning on a Monday and I'm happy to go to work. I'm excited. I'm like, it's Monday. Nice. Like I get to go back to work. I get to work on some cool stuff. Like I love games. I've loved video games since I was like literally since I could hold a controller.
Yeah.
And I've like all those times I wasn't studying in school, I was playing video games. That's why I had bad grades. Another reason
Yeah.
besides with the work.
Yeah.
So I was just obsessed with games, and I mean I still am. I mean I have less time to play them now, that's for sure. But I mean
Now you're
if you
creating them though.
yeah, and if you work at a video game company and you do something similar to what I do, you get to play games at work anyway. So yeah. I mean, not all the
cool.
time.
Sometimes.
My job is not just to sit and, you know, or
Yeah.
like, you know, with the mouse.
Yeah.
I have other things to do too, but I mean, we do have to, yeah, obviously we have to play the games that we are working on. And I mean, I actually had a bit of a career change within NC, and that's what I really appreciate about NC too, is they allowed me to try a lot of new things. So like even when I was on the localization team, I didn't just do like text related stuff. I got to do a lot of things. Like we did collaborations with like other departments, like for example AI. We got to work directly with the developers and help them sort of like come up with the terms for the game, because you know the developers, obviously the game is their baby.
Yeah.
And so they, rather than us just translating their Korean terms one to one, sometimes they would want to be involved in the ideation for the English terms. So they would, hello, Mr. Fly.
There's two. It's
Oh, there's two.
mosquitoes,
Oh,
yeah.
no. Oh, okay,
We call
that's
them
not good.
Harriet and Harry.
Oh, and they live here
They
permanently?
just torture us. Every time a guest comes, it's just torturing us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where was I? Oh yeah. Anyway, so I got to try a lot of different things.
The baby. You're talking about like the developers wanting to make
Oh,
the names,
yeah.
trying different things.
Yeah, I mean every dev team is a little bit different, but a lot of the time they're very protective of the game. Like they're kind of like, oh, we have
I
this
bet.
vision and we
Yeah.
want to. So sometimes we would actually have to like go and sit with them either like in a meeting room, or we just go to their desks and they would like show us the game. And they'd be like, what do you think we should call this in English? You know, or we had this idea. Does it sound cool or does it? So that was really really cool, because working at the previous company, which was like outsourcing, we didn't have any direct contact with the developers. So if we wanted to communicate with them, we had to send like a query sheet back, and then they'd send us a sheet back with answers.
Oh.
And it was very slow and cumbersome. So that was kind of interesting. What else did I get to try? I mean, because when I first got hired at NC, I was also like the only non-Asian foreigner
Yeah.
working there in a company that at that time they had around, I think, 2,500 people.
That's a lot of
now,
people.
Now they have over 4,000, or close to
Oh.
5,000.
It's
So
even more people.
they hired a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah.
So they want to put my face like on the blog and stuff. So they like,
We have a foreigner.
yeah. And I got to do, but it was fun. Like I mean, I'm happy to participate because it was fun for me. I got to do like media interviews. Oh.
Harry is just he loves you, Lauren. He's
Should-
just like, hey, Lauren.
So I shouldn't kill him. He's a staple.
No,
here,
you
or
need.
like-
He needs to die. To be honest, I've tried so many times to kill him, but he's not dying.
Poor
I just
Harry.
go and then he just goes, and I'm like, damn it. Okay, I'm sorry.
He's too fast for you, or
He
you're
is
too slow for him.
I need the racket. I need to come with the racket.
Oh,
Just
one of those
start killing-
electric ones that like. bzz.
They zap everything. I need to get one of those for the studio. But yeah, sorry.
Yes. Anyway, so I got to try a lot of things, and that helped me because I actually ended up changing teams, and so now I work on the content business team, which is we do a lot. Like it was like because that was kind of a shock for me, that change, because like when I was working in localization, like 90% of what I did was like with English text or sometimes German,
Yeah.
and then I just suddenly was like working in a team with like my boss doesn't really speak English, like he can, but he's not. It's not his
Like
strong
fluent or
suit,
anything,
yeah,
yeah.
basically. So I have to deal with him in Korean. I have to deal with everyone else in Korean. I had to do like most of my work in Korean, write it in Korean, like write like fill out like reports in Korean.
Yeah.
So like I said, my writing is okay, so that was all okay. And I mean at this point, like meetings are fine, you know, because I understand the context of the work. Like I obviously I know games and I play games, so it's you know pretty easy for me to understand what's going on. But then sometimes I would end up in like a meeting with like I don't know, some engineers or something. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know any of these words. I don't know what you're on
Sit
about.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so in the content business team, we do a lot. Like some stuff is like marketing related more. Like I mean, my job is mostly to think about how can we market a game overseas, like in, you know, North America, Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also like creating events, content within the game that will appeal, you know, to certain demographics, certain kinds of people, or, you know, people from certain countries. You know, how to get people to spend money. Obviously, that's a factor because
the goal,
we got
yeah.
to make money. Otherwise,
Yeah.
there's no company.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of things. Yeah, it's been really fun. We do a lot of like coming up with ideas, brainstorming meetings, and the team is very like it's a totally new group of people that I wasn't familiar with. But the team, they're very cohesive, very very smart people, very very good at their jobs. Like that's another thing is like I've learned so much because I've had such amazing mentors, like really really professional like team leaders, department managers, and even people above them who are just like they're just really good at what they do, and they're really passionate about their jobs and hardworking. So yeah, I mean I've had a really positive experience. I think I mean I think it's common that a lot of people, like I said, they come here, they work in a corporate environment and kind of burn out really quickly.
Because I usually hear a lot more negative stories about working like a Korean corporate job than positive stories. But
Yeah.
yours seems to be like you're loving it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think it has to do with the fact that I really like video games. So that helps, obviously.
Because you love your job already. So
Yeah.
it just makes it easier. Yeah.
I think the people are also a really key factor. Like if you work with good people, that helps a lot, because then you go to work every day and you're like, it's kind of like you're hanging out with your friends, you know? It's kind of like a you know, friendly, like sort of, oh, we're all in this together vibe. You know, obviously if your superiors are good people who are, you know, fair and they're good at delegating work, they're good at leading a team, that is a huge advantage, and I've always had that as well. So I think for the most part, yeah, I've gotten really really lucky. There's not a lot of negative things I can say really.
I feel like when you're talking, it doesn't seem, because you know in Korea, companies and also just Korea in general, there's this wiare thing, this whole hierarchy.
Yeah.
Is there no hierarchy in your company?
Oh, there is absolutely. Yeah, I would say.
Okay. Because it seems like everybody's just friends.
Well, I would say it's kind of like higher. It's more like a military. It's run like a tight ship, but like it's like any other company, I guess. Like you've got groups of people who like are close, who are tight with each other, and they know each other and stuff like that. And that can apply to even like executives or higher. But it is like basically it's compartmentalized, if that makes sense. In a sense of like I work like just with my team, and then like if you want to go up the ladder, you always have to go through the person who's directly above you. So like if I wanted to talk to, for example, the Xinjiang, the department manager, I have to ask my team leader first to talk to her, and then if it has to go up higher, she'd have to escalate it. So it's like you can never talk directly to the person on top.
There's like levels.
Yeah, which it makes sense in a way, and I think like because when I worked at Apple, which is an American company, they also have a hierarchy, but it's a little bit more horizontal in the sense that like it's more like it was okay for me to go directly to a higher manager. I didn't have to like go up every step.
Yeah.
I couldn't obviously like just like, I mean, back when I worked there, Steve Jobs was alive. I couldn't just text Steve Jobs and be like, hey bro, like,
of course,
I have something to discuss with you, obviously.
like,
and
who's this?
Yeah, I'd be like,
Yeah.
But like, and it's the same obviously with this company that I work at now. I mean, I've run into the CEO a couple of times, but I have nothing to do with this man.
Yeah.
Because obviously he has a better things to do. He's running the company. So
the whole company, yeah.
So I get the hierarchy thing, but sometimes what is frustrating in Korean companies in general, and I mean this applies to pretty much every company in Korea, I think, because I hear this from my friends all the time too, is that when you have something that's urgent, or you need to push something, or you have an idea that you really want to push,
Yeah.
it can be really difficult because you have to take all these tiny steps to get it to happen. And you need like sometimes it's horizontal in the sense that like you need approval from other teams as well. So like, for example, like, you know, Harry's back.
Oh my God, Harry loves Lauren. What's going on, Lauren? What perfume are you using today?
You know what's funny?
Loves
Usually Korean mosquitoes ignore me. They just bite everybody else and not me. But today, I guess
Harry might be a foreign mosquito. We don't know.
maybe he's
Maybe
not
I brought him
Korean.
out here. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so it's horizontal in the way that you have to ask other teams.
Right. So it's like, oh, if we want to do X, we got to ask the dev team as well as, you know, the PR team, maybe get permission from both of them and then escalate it. And then like something that, you know, maybe at an American company would take like 3 or 4 days to deal with, it can take like 2 weeks. Yeah.
And then at that point, you're just like tired of like pushing your idea now, because it's just like, is it even ever gonna get on the table?
Yeah, so there's a lot of red tape. That's but like I said, I think that's common to a lot of Korean companies. It's not just a problem with. I mean, I wouldn't even necessarily say it's a problem. It's just something that for me was different.
Yeah,
I wasn't used to it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are used to it. I mean, I noticed that. Like it's just a given.
Because now you have to like get used to it.
Yeah.
Can't change it.
Yeah.
It's just there.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you can always like. I mean, they're pretty open to feedback. You can tell. You can give people feedback. You can even like there's a system where you can give direct feedback to whichever department or whoever you want to talk about, or if you just have any ideas, you can just send your ideas or your opinions. So, but I don't really know how much of that gets implemented. It's nice to have though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, in general, like very positive experience. Yeah,
loving it. How has your experience in Korea, not like the working part, in Korea been? Just like like in terms of your social life, friendships, how has that been?
I mean, I really love living in Korea. But as I kind of mentioned before when we were talking earlier, as I get older, it's starting to lose its appeal a little bit. And what I mean by that is like, I mean, the things that like I have a rich social life in Korea. I have a lot of friends. There's a lot of things I can do in my free time that I can't do obviously in Switzerland. Those things are still fun and I still do them from time to time. But like generally, I think I had a better time maybe 5 years ago when I had like all this energy and like I had this gusto for life. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna like go out every weekend. We're gonna party, you know. Like I think everyone kind of has this phase in Korea where they really go hard. Like yes, I like, and it's almost like this FOMO / YOLO / I don't know what to call it.
YOLO thing. Yeah, you're just like I have it. Just gonna go clubbing 4 times a week.
Yeah, and or your friends call you and you're like, I really should get some rest. I'm sick, but I gotta go, you know, and then you never say no to anything. And that was me at first, and I had the energy for that and stuff like that. But that's starting to dwindle. But if you ask my friends and my coworkers, they will say the opposite. They'll be like, Lauren is crazy. Lauren is always out.
She's
Lauren
still
is always
out.
like,
Yeah.
But I feel like it's changed. It's
for
changed.
you feel like it's changed.
Yeah. And then if I compare, like if I want to have a slower pace of life, a more chilled life, I think Switzerland is the better country to live in, if I'm honest with you.
I have heard it's like a great retirement country too.
Yeah, if you have the money to retire.
Facts, because it's very expensive apparently.
It's very expensive to retire there. So, but yeah, like I guess like I think I came to Korea at the right time. I'm happy here. I'm gonna stay longer because I mean it's hard to give up when you have a career that fulfills you. It's hard to give that up.
And you're doing so well in it right now.
Yeah. And even though, you know, sometimes the working hours are long, like everyone knows about the gaming industry. They have crunch times, you know, pre-launch stuff. And I remember one specific time. So I don't know how many people watching this will be familiar with my company's games, but there's IP called Lineage that we have. It's an MMO.
Oh, it sounds familiar. I don't even know gaming like that, but I've seen so many commercials on YouTube from it.
It's all over like Korea, like on the subways, you'll see Lineage ads and things like that. And so when I was on the localization team, we were planning to launch. We had initially planned to launch Lineage W worldwide, so we needed an English version, but that did not happen in the end. But still, we had to prepare it, and so we had almost no time to do this. It was very crunch time for us. So it was me and two other translators were in charge of the project, and we worked our butts off. That was crazy. Like there were times we were in the office till 2 a.m. and then we would get up in the morning, go straight back, and then work till 2 a.m. again. We worked on Saturday, we worked on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
We were like just living at the company basically. But we had a great time because we were friends. So like we like, and the company, they really supported us in this, which was great. Like they were like, okay, you guys have to, because it was during COVID and everybody else was working from home, but because it was a top secret project at the time, we had to go in to work on it. They would not let us access the game build from our house remotely. So we had to go in because we had to test, we had to like put our text into the game and check, does it make sense? Does it fit in the UI? Do we have to change anything? So we were doing that. And then anyway, the company, like they gave us like money that we could buy lunch, like order food. So we would order pizzas every day.
So it was
or
like they were making it convenient for you.
Yeah. And then like so after the game launched, they rewarded us, and we got an email and they said like, thank you for coming in and, you know, risking your health, even though you had COVID, and they gave us extra holiday because of that.
Yeah, that's so sweet of
Yeah.
them.
So I had some extra holiday days I could use, which was really nice.
Yeah.
So it's like a lot of people have this mentality about Korean companies that they're like, they're just there to like grind you to a pulp and they don't care about you or anything. That's just not true. At least not in, I would say, in gaming or tech
And
companies.
the job you're at, they're giving you extra holidays. Well, you did work your butt off for it. It's not like they give it for free, but they're buying you food. They're making it convenient for you to work there, which is great.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I mean, I guess like if you're not super passionate about your job, or if you're struggling, those things still would help, I guess. Obviously it's not, I mean, if somebody who hates their job does not want to be at the office till 2 a.m. I was having a good time. We were working hard, but we were also having fun, and we were in it together. We were like the three musketeers. So it was fun. But yeah, I mean, it's also, I mean, it helps that the company building is absolutely amazing. They have so many facilities for us to use. Like we have in the basement, we have a cafeteria, and the food is free. So every day lunch. And it's, I mean, it's not like school cafeteria food. It's like, it's good. It's a good big meal. And we have like 5 different counters you can choose from. You can get takeout if you want to. It is insane. Actually, if you Google it, you'll see that our cafeteria is kind of like famous. It's really, really good. So that, I mean, free lunches is insane. Like, I mean, like I barely buy groceries. So I get this huge lunch every day. And then if you stay till 8 p.m., dinner is also free.
You can take it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then we have, a fitness center, like not a gym, a fitness center with like a jjimjilbang, a sauna. We got the hot and cold, water pools. We've got huge locker room. Like the facilities are incredible. So we have that too. You can take a shower there if you need to. A gymnasium is also there. So people can play basketball, or like, I used to play badminton. We have, what else we got?
Dang,
we got a
this is
library.
amazing.
We got a library.
Yeah.
Like with a huge library with a lot of books, even English books, like tons of different languages on the top floor.
Look at you, NCSoft, doing your thing.
Yeah, there's daycare.
There's a daycare
it's
too.
Daycare. If you have kids, you can bring your kids
goodness,
to work. And it's really cute because people bring their kids to work and they're like in the daycare.
Yeah.
And then like when they leave work, they'll like take them downstairs. Actually, in the basement, we also have a convenience store. So that, and we get a discount there, which is also crazy. So it's like,
there's a lot of incentives to working in this company.
a lot of perks, of perks. Yeah. And they pay overtime. That's another thing. A lot of Korean companies do not pay overtime.
They don't.
And NCSoft, they do. And like they pay it out according to certain regulations. So for example, if you do like late work, you get paid extra. Like after 11 p.m., you get paid extra. I think it's like time and a half or maybe double time. Plus they'll pay your taxi to get you home.
I suddenly want to work at NCSoft.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not qualified, but something.
I mean,
gaming. Do they need a janitor?
Gaming companies in general in like Korea, they're really, a lot of them have all of these things.
Awesome.
Yeah, like the I think the free cafeteria, like the free lunches are a standard. I'm pretty sure that because like once one company sets a standard, they all have to match it. Otherwise, people won't want to work at those other companies, right? So like as we're talking about the big ones, like the top game companies. The smaller ones obviously don't have these kind of facilities, but it's still it's impressive. And like. So if you're working overtime, like that's why I always say I feel blessed and I feel lucky, because I was working a job I like with people I like, even love. Like honestly, some of them are like brothers and sisters to me. Plus, or getting paid well, plus getting paid overtime, plus all these extra free perks. Like I really felt like
you stay.
Yeah, I really felt like I didn't have much to complain about, and I really think that like there's like I would say if you're thinking of working in Korea, that my situation might be an exception because I wouldn't say it's the standard. I know a lot of people who are struggling too, working in big Korean companies, other friends, like Korean friends, or like, my friends' spouses who are like Korean, they're working in, for example, like one case I heard like 14-hour days, like really, really tough. And like,
Wow.
it's kind of depressing because they live on like a company campus type of situation and they get bused to work. So they just go like work home,
Dang,
work
it's like a
home.
factory.
Yeah. And on the weekend, they're too tired to do anything. So they just stay at home. And that's kind of crazy to me. That's not my situation.
I wouldn't want to have kids if that was my situation. I would just be like, who's having kids if I'm just doing bus work?
Yeah. I mean, they're paying a lot, I'm sure, because but like at what cost? That's the thing.
It's like your social life is gone completely.
So yeah, I think like work-life balance can be tough in Korea. But if you work at a company that has bokji, like benefits, I guess, in English, then yeah, you will be able to manage it somehow. And I think it's getting better with time because I had a language exchange partner who worked at Samsung, and she told me that her benefits and my benefits were almost the same. I had always heard that Samsung was very sort of like grindy, like, oh, it's not a great place
I've
to work.
also heard
like,
that before.
but she had nothing but positive things to say about it. So
They're changing.
I guess things are changing, and hopefully that helps, with some issues like the birth rate maybe and things like that. But I mean, yeah, I think like, yeah, if you want to work in Korea, do a lot of research on the company that you're applying to, and because there's big differences between different companies, and all of this stuff is online. There's like I think there's a website in English called Glassdoor or something where you can look up companies, and then there's like reviews from people who used to work there.
Yep.
There's the same thing for Korea. So they'll, people will have written like, oh yeah, I worked at X company for this amount of years and they have this, and this is what I got paid. So you know exactly what to expect, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And they'll say that which team they were on and stuff too. So
Yeah, it tells you a lot of detail when you're applying for jobs. When you go to Glassdoor,
yeah.
definitely check out Glassdoor if you're trying to go into any company. Is there anything else that you wanted to say that you feel like you didn't get to say?
I think the gaming industry in Korea as a whole is the thing that attracted me to it too, because I could have easily gone to work in Japan. That was an option for me as well. But first off, I was more interested in Korea, and second off, the Korean gaming industry is like, it's very different than the Japanese gaming industry in the sense that like the games that are being developed here are really different. The monetization models are really different. A lot of people maybe who play Korean games or know Korean games know that they can be expensive to play. Depending on what you're playing. I mean, actually, our company's game Lineage is kind of famous for that, for having a lot of people who spend a lot of money within the game.
Okay.
But I mean, obviously, no one's forcing you to spend money, but it's that free to play model where if you want more perks. If you want to get stronger faster, you can like spend some money and then you be stronger and you can kill the other guys easier.
Yeah.
Basically, put it in a nutshell.
That's most games though. You do have to spend a little bit more coin to do certain stuff in the game.
Nowadays, that kind of monetization model is much more common, even overseas. So it's getting to be more and more common. Like, I mean, a lot of the apps you download on your phone too, and mobile games are making the most money these days.
Even mobile games, you have to spend a lot of money to like get certain stuff.
The app itself is free, but then you'll want to buy like a cool costume for your character, or a cool gun or something, and then okay, well, it's just $10, and then but then it adds up, and then if you've got a lot of people playing the same game and spending money, then you're making a lot of money. So that's kind of how it works now. But
that's how a company has to grow, though. It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
but you're spending money for them to grow, so
Yeah, and I mean, if you play a free app and you like the game, you can support the developer, throw them a few bucks. Like, I'm not saying you have to become a whale. We call that whales, or like the big spenders in games who spend like a lot of money. You don't have to be that. Like, if you like a game and you just want to have some fun, get yourself some cool outfits, maybe upgrade your character a little faster. I mean,
spend a little bit. Support the creators.
Put a limit on it, maybe, if you have a budget. If you don't have a budget, by all means, spend all the money on it.
If you're rich and balling, if you're a baller, spend the money, guys.
Yeah, you can ball. You can ball in the game. Why not?
Yeah.
Kind of fun.
Is there anything else that you feel like you wanted to say?
People message me and they want like specific information, like how can I get a job and visa and then they'll give me like their specific background. Like I've worked in a restaurant, so or I have like a culinary like certificate but no degree, or like, and it's hard. Like, It's really a case by case type of thing. But
You just have to, honestly,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm just like, you just have to research your case.
yeah,
Because what I'm doing and what I've done with my life is not going to be the same as yours.
exactly.
So
And
research is your best friend.
yeah, you gotta research and like I said, like if you're really interested in coming to work in Korea, research the company, research the visa, how you're gonna get it. Make sure that the company is even willing to sponsor the visa for you. I actually did that too when I was first looking for jobs. There were some game companies. There was a specific game company whose game I really liked, and I wrote them a letter, and I was like, I don't even know if you guys are looking for someone with my profile or you want to sponsor, but like I love your game and I would love to work with you,
Yeah.
even if it's just an internship.
Yeah.
But they never replied. I'm not gonna name them, but they never
They're
replied.
probably like, we don't have sponsor visas, girl.
Yeah, but in the end, it worked out, and
Yeah, you have this amazing job now.
yeah. I mean, I'm pretty satisfied. I mean, I guess if there's one last thing I would maybe say on this topic is that I think Korea, at least, so I'm speaking from obviously gaming industry tech side. I think it's a great place if you can learn Korean to a level where you can get a job here and you start when you're young, you can accelerate your career really fast. Because I don't necessarily recommend doing like I did, coming here in your 30s and then starting then. I mean, not that I mean, I have accelerated my career. Like I've learned so much in 5 years.
Yeah.
I really feel like I could now leave Korea and work anywhere in the world. Like at any game company, they'd be like with my experience, the things that I can do, they'd be happy to have me.
Yeah.
But I think if I could go back, like it would be so advantageous to like learn Korean to a high level when you're young, get whatever experience / degree necessary to come and work here, get into a company like NC or like a big company that has really good benefits. And then while you have all that gusto and passion and you have the energy to do all that overtime work, get it in, get all that experience, learn a lot of stuff. And then you're like such a valuable asset if you ever go overseas or even if you stay in Korea. Like there's just the doors will be open for you pretty much
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Listen, guys, you heard it from Lauren's mouth. She said what she said with the whole chest and everything.
I
But
did.
thank you so much, Lauren, for coming on the episode. Do you mind if we close out the episode now?
That's fine. Yeah.
You got it?
You're the boss.
No, but I need to make sure you said everything you need to say.
I think
I don't want you going home and being like, damn, I didn't say that. So
I think I said everything. If people have questions, they can also reach out to me.
yes.
I mean, yeah.
I will leave all my guest information are always down below in the description box. So if you guys are interested, it may be contacting Lauren to ask some more questions. I'm sure she will be happy to answer.
Yes.
But please, if you can research this question by yourself, first do that and then ask Lauren. I think that would be a lot better so she can understand your question a little bit more.
Yeah.
So please research first. Okay, guys. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, we had a great time.
We did.
NC Soft it is though. NC Soft. Remember that company, guys, when you're playing your games. NC Soft.
Yes, please.
They feed their employees and they treat them really well.
They do. Yeah. They take good care of us.
It definitely
Yeah.
seems like it.
Yeah, a lot of great people too.
See, support NC Soft. If anything, this was like an ad for them. Like
I do feel like it was, yeah. And it's not because I'm not allowed to say anything negative. I want to make that clear.
Yeah. She did. I don't think she had any because you did say I don't think I have anything negative to say. So I feel like
No,
you had a great time in NC Soft.
I really am just satisfied with everything. I mean, but I'm also not a person who complains much, so.
But you also
I'm chilling.
you've been there for 5 years. That's a long time.
5 years is a long time. I've been there.
Yeah.
Oh, my current team that I'm in, I'm the senior person. Even I've been there longer than my boss.
See?
So he asks
She's been
me
there for
the
a while?
questions sometimes like, hey, have you heard anything? Like rumors? Because I know so many people.
You've been there for so long. They're like, let's go to Lauren for these
Yeah,
questions.
we better check if Lauren has the tea.
Exactly.
If someone has the tea, Lauren has the tea.
she knows everything. 5 years is a very long time.
It is, yeah.
But thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you guys for watching another episode of Korea Unfiltered. If you guys are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe, like, and share with your friends. If you're a podcast listener, make sure you give us 5 stars so we can get up in the algorithm. That was another episode of Korea Unfiltered with Lauren. Again, I will leave all her information down below. But that's all for today, guys. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.